All right, so we have a red Zerg up in the top left corner of Kdaria. It is ALT.BNY.dice. Do we want to call him Dice or Bina.dice or Ni.dice? Or
yeah.
Okay, we'll call him Dice. And down here in the bottom right, we have compLexity Academy SniXSniPe as the pink Terran.
Yeah, and SniXSniPe was actually a guy who popped up way back in October, I think, of 2010 is when I started casting StarCraft 2 out of my mom's basement with my wife yelling at me from the other room to shut the hell up on a regular basis. And this guy actually popped up in the King of the Hill for Honor, Guts, and Glory that I used to do on a regular basis. So I'm interested to see how he's going to perform here at IPL, casting him on the big stage now.
So Honor, Guts, and Glory, we used to have a system in college because none of us had any money. We would call it Pride Points. So if we'd play a pool against each other, it would be for Pride Points. If we raced to the cafeteria or something, it'd be for Pride Points. So I'm assuming Pride Points would be translatable into Guts, Glory,
Correct.
Honor.
It was because I didn't have any money. That's exactly why I did it. So it was the Kothagag, or the King of the Hill for Honor, Guts, and Glory, because I didn't have any money to put on the line.
That's a lot. But, I mean, Pride Points, if you hang on to those, they're
mature. Redeemable for a lot.
They mature very, very well. There's a high interest rate on both Pride Points and esports dollars because fictional currencies, there's no reason not to inflate them.
It doesn't seem so much like an increase so much as just inflation.
Right.
Like the number keeps going up, but it's like Zimbabwean dollars. They just fly through the roof, and eventually I'm going to have 100 trillion of them, but it'll be worth about a penny. So,
or you'll be lucky to trade in for an American penny.
Yes.
But we'll see. We'll see in the future how many billions and trillions of esports dollars we're able to actually use to buy goods and services. But that's after the economy collapses and esports is the only thing left on Earth.
Correct.
Right now we do have DICE actually expanding here to his natural as expected. Still no spawning pool for him yet, so just macroing up, trying to be annoying with this drone against SniXSniPe, who is also just doing very regular things. No command center up for him yet, so he is actually still kind of debatable what he's going to be doing. He does have 400 minerals now, and he's trying to chase this drone away, so I'm assuming obviously command center. There it is.
And, doesn't quite snag the drone, so it can recover a little bit of health, go back home. Maybe another drone scout will be sent out to get a peek around eventually. Overlords getting themselves in position to sacrifice them as well. SniXSniPe, of course, good to note that he is going for the variety of the 1-Rax gasless fast expand that doesn't have a second supply depot at the front before you start your expansion. So usually get supply blocked right at the very end of it, but it gets you that expansion out a little bit earlier, possibly a little bit safer as well.
Yeah, and we'll have to see obviously how soon he's going to attack on these refineries. The first one just now going up, so factory play could be delayed a little bit. He's not really building too many Marines, none in the production queue right now, obviously because he's supply blocked. But DICE on the other side of the map still doesn't have any extractors, so he's just going for that super mineral heavy opener as well. Just a couple of lings to try and start running around the map, perhaps. We'll see in just a moment. He's got 2 in production now. Again, this is something on Kdaria that I've seen a few times now. Nobody's just holding on to the Xel'Naga Tower at the moment.
Yeah, it's people are kind of just running by it. I mean, obviously you can see the range from the circle here as to how much it actually reveals, and it's not a whole lot. There's still a bunch of attack paths you can take to get around that. So I thought it was going to be a quick 4-queen build here from DICE, as he was without gas for a long time, but it's actually going to be a quick macro hatch to help defend up at the front, along with 3 queens for now. We'll see if the 4th gets added on in a second, but still kind of a different order than I've been seeing out of a lot of Zerg players lately.
Yeah, both players still being very passive, allowing the other to build basically whatever they want, and right now SniXSniPe chooses to build 3 more barracks, so he is going to be focusing on the mineral-heavy start. He does have his refinery up and running now, but still only 1 refinery, so just enough to get that tech lab up and combat shield started. I'm not sure when he's planning on tacking on another one or moving into factory tech at all, but it looks like just heavy marine play to start things off. There is a bunker building probably by his natural, so he'll be able to defend pretty handily against any early Ling attacks. But right now, still no Roachhorn, still no Baneling Nest. All these extractors getting started just now.
This is coming close to feeling like an advanced version of what Lenok used to do. Lenok, of course, was renowned for 2-base high gas play, lots of mutas usually. So in this case, DICE decides to show what looks like it's going to be a 4-queen build at the beginning. Goes up for 4 extractors at exactly the same time, so his layer tech is going to hit a little bit later, and so is his Zergling speed. But a crazy way to go about things, and I really wonder how this is going to work out for him. I think this could be very cool.
Yeah, and DICE did actually lose an Overlord just moments ago. It didn't actually catch it. I think he just scouted over the top of the base and obviously got picked off by Marines. He's got another one lying in wait. Well, actually, I don't know what he managed to see the But,
yeah, he got it and he saw the
blocks.
extractor, but that was about it.
Yeah, or the refinery. We talked about this yesterday. But the gas structures are the hardest to remember. All right, so all these Marines, knowing that they shouldn't attack the Space Shark, just continue on to the Zerg base instead. They'll have an easier time killing a Zerg opponent than an actual Space Shark. So they're just going to work their way up there. There's decent defense up here for DICE already. He's got a couple of Queens, obviously, that we've seen earlier, and Spine Crawlers coming up. There's also the Evolution Chamber sort of wall-off that he's got going on with that Spine Crawler is kind of interesting.
Oh, wow. Already picks off 2 Queens as well, getting in there around the Spine Crawler, so the wall's not going to provide that much defense, and SniXSniPe doing some economic damage, sees that there's a lot of gas already up, so he's got a pretty clear indication as to what his opponent's going to be up to. He even catches a glimpse of the Baneling Nest.
Oh, he tries to finish off the 3rd Queen there, but now that the Lings are out and running at them, they're basically resigned to death. A couple of Lings do get picked off before the Marines all go down, but SniXSniPe actually just walking through that wall off that DICE looked like he had a lot of preparation for and didn't quite execute properly. If he had a Queen holding position behind the one that died, maybe it would have held them off a little longer, but he does lose some drones and some valuable macro tools in those Queens to that first attack, and now he's going for a little bit of a counterattack. Still no Zergling speed, is just about to finish, but SniXSniPe does have a bunker, I believe. He may have salvaged it, but here we go. He's going to meet him out in the field of battle. Combat shield's already done, stim and +1 weapons on the way.
And he does have that bunker still sitting around, blocking his refinery just a little bit, but that's okay. He's not mining much gas from it anyway. The upgrades are starting to come a little bit quicker now for SniXSniPe. He's got a 2nd engineering bay popping up, factory, so we'll move over to Starport here momentarily. There it is, and he's making a ton of Marines for now. This has been something that's happening a lot lately. Players are prioritizing a little bit later tanks and deciding to get a little more increased Marine count. This is a little more weird way to go about it. Usually you'll just see like 3 racks and then a quicker Starport and get medevacs earlier on. This go around, he's just going to kind of tech up to everything all at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously that's going to be nice in case he needs to shift gears very quickly. There is a Spire on the way now, so if he needs to shift into anti-muta or something like that, he'll be able to do it with a nice spread of upgrades. The Spire does interest me. He's gathering a lot of gas, so I'm wondering if he'll probably be up around 800 or 900 gas by the time that actually finishes and can make a quick wave of mutas to start harassing. There are no turrets up anywhere, but there are a large number of stimmable Marines out there now, so we'll have to see how much DICE is actually going to sort of invest in Mutalisks. Looks like 7 going to be in the initial volley.
Yeah, 7 with +1 air weapons as well, so he's going to try and make them a little bit beefier, but, you know, obviously the engineering bays are in place to start putting down some sort of turret coverage, but we haven't seen that quite yet. Armory on the way now, that will be necessary for these upgrades. That shot picking off the Overseer as well.
Yeah, Overseer and Changelings all dealt with pretty handily there by the Marines. So far, not a huge force from SniXSniPe available to stop any major attack with these Mutalisks and Lings now streaming across the middle of the map. So it will be on SniXSniPe to try and prioritize these Mutalisks down while still not taking too much damage from the many Speedlings.
Ooh, all right. So SniXSniPe does full stim there. Ooh. And how many medevacs? Just one medevac in the air, and I'm not sure if it's dropping. It doesn't look like it is, so...
Yeah, I think it's just hovering over the starport still, but no, I don't know where it is.
We'll find it eventually. There it is.
There
okay.
Okay, looks like he loaded up for a drop and then thought better of it when the Lings started to get a little bit too close. So all the Mutalisks are in range now of these Marines. A couple of them are getting picked off, actually, without doing too much damage. So SniXSniPe being aware and preventing too much damage. Now we have Baneling Ling Muta basically just growing in size here for DICE. And probably going to want to try to pick off that 3rd base first. So if SniXSniPe can get his tanks in nice defensive positions, he'll be able to defend pretty easily, I think.
Well, you definitely need to react. There we go on the starport, so we can start cranking out those medevacs 2 at a time. You'll be able to heal these up, but if an attack were to come pretty soon, a lot of the stim would be permanent damage. Mutalisk trying to swing back in one more time. Still no turrets up around the main at all. Not much damage done, though. Another stim from SniXSniPe, and he's able to drive those mutas away for now.
Yeah, no turrets in the main actually surprises me a little bit. Instead, he's devoting these 10 Marines and medevac to basically be a mobile turret. That can only last so long, and you obviously don't want to commit them to being defensive when you could be using them to go attack and kill the guy. So Infestation Pit is actually going to finish now for DICE. He's probably going to start Pathogen Glands as soon as he's realized that his Infestation Pit's done. But right now, he's got bigger things to worry about. It looks like he's making 38 Speedlings to come try to fend off this incoming attack from SniXSnipe.
I wonder when Zerg players are going to start putting Baneling Mines here, because that's a really nice spot for Marines to stand and pick off Zerglings and Ultralists that are running at them, and Baneling Mines would just be so powerful there. Zerglings and Banelings not really able to get in there and do any damage at all. They didn't even pick off a tank, and a large swath of units was taken out there.
That is actually a really incredible place for some Baneling Mines. We saw yesterday something like 8 tanks being crowded in.
Yeah,
I think that was
exactly.
That might have been a PVT that we watched, but either way, like, it's such a good defensive position for tanks specifically that you could end up seeing a bunch of units parked right on top of those bridges. And right now, SniXSnipe actually doing great macro work, staying ahead in supply of his Zerg opponent. DICE is putting up 200 now, but a big attack comes in. All these tanks are going to go down. The Marines falling back and splitting to try and keep the Marines alive as long as possible, giving this siege tank time to siege up, but it's not going to work, I think. DICE is actually just running all over SniXSnipe. I was just complimenting his macro, but that army is basically just disintegrated in the wave of this Baneling Muta attack.
All right, well, nice bunker position, but unfortunately, there's only one Marine inside of it, so maybe we'll get a couple over there in just a second, but it is enough for the time being to drive off these units. Mutal is going to swing back into the main one more time. Looks like a drop was loaded up for SniXSnipe, but he has to drop everything out just to make sure that he can pick up those Mutas. Yeah,
interesting timing there. The Muta just happening upon this medevac loading up Marines, so if that had just been a moment later, the Mutas would have had a free entry, or he may have been able to pick off that medevac full of Marines. But 18 drones, a wave of 18 drones being produced right now for DICE. Not sure what that's about, but here he goes again. Mutalist trying to pick up these tanks as fast as possible. Baneling's doing good damage. All these Marines are split. He needs to get those Banelings to the front, but oh man, a bunch of Marines were just on move command there, walked right into the Banelings, and things are looking good for DICE.
Yeah, so DICE going to do a little bit of economic damage here. There are enough Marines left over that he was able to ward away the Mutalists, actually reduce their numbers to just 5 for now, but the economic damage has been done. It's 99 drones to 52. Of course, we commented a second ago that DICE may have been overproducing drones there for a second. We'll see for what purpose here in just a bit. And +2 air weapons is finishing up for him as well. So SniXSnipe still has a fairly well-developed economy, but the problem is he's running, because of the quick expand, very low in his natural. He's almost out of his main too, so he needs to think about a 4th base and just doesn't have it up yet.
Yeah, 4th base would definitely be nice for him after taking such a large hit at that 3rd, and it looks like DICE might not have the strongest macro going. He's looping around a ton of drones right now into this bottom left spawn location, so that'll pick up in just a moment. Oh no, but the Marines get sight of it with that medevac trying to do a drop, so a couple of spine crawlers are going down quickly, but I don't think they're going to be in time here for a lot of these drones to be saved. The Mutas come in, they're not going to be able to take on a Marine size of that force either with stim and combat shields, so he does have to wait for all the Lings, the drones, all running to the top of the base there. The Mutas and Lings should be able to pick off these Marines though, and man, that was a close attack for SniXSnipe. Now he's using the time, the distraction at the bottom left to move forward his tanks, medevacs, and Marines, the bulk of his force, inching closer to the natural and 3rd areas of DICE.
Yeah, that was really nice, and SniXSnipe still has continued with his macro, so he's still pretty even in supply, but again, needs to get a 4th base up just whenever he can. He was trying to construct one back when the initial attack hit a few minutes ago, but just didn't end up working out for him. It was destroyed with the Banelings and Zerglings that rolled up to the front.
The production tab just showed 72 Lings and 26 Banelings in production, while the Greater Spire gets some time to finish up, and right now SniXSnipe has actually evened up the supply again at 177 with DICE, so even though he lost a ton of forces outside of his 3rd, he's not done yet. Good fungal on those Marines, keeping them in place so that the spine crawler can do some damage. A couple of investors, a lot of energy still left on those guys if they want to move forward and try to do some damage after the Lings come in and start to soak these siege tank shots.
Okay, so the Banelings actually weren't the most cost-effective there, but it looks like DICE just has enough stuff that he can just kind of power his way through this. Yeah, the last couple of Marines needing to back up now for SniXSnipe. He is pretty much in full retreat at the moment. Is he falling back to a better position? Yes, he is, though. One tank does get taken out at the front. We'll see if these Banelings can do enough. No, backing away. The Zergling cover was killed too quickly.
And the important part, again, at the end of that battle, both players are at similar supply, 130 for each side. But now we do see that DICE's stronger economy is going to benefit him a lot more here in the Remax. He's already up to 162 supply, tied up in Zerglings and Infestors coming back to the field. He does have a decent Mutalisk count now as well. I do like the unit composition he's got, but if he's trading fully every time, he's gonna basically be sad. He needs to get better trades in these attacks so that he can actually get over to the base of SniXSnipe and try to do some lasting damage.
Yeah, SniXSnipe has done some pretty good damage as far as picking his engagements at the right time and splitting up forces. Even though DICE has had the better composition, the better amount of forces on a lot of these engagements, he still hasn't been able to do all of the damage that he wants. Some Mutalisks are going to swing around the side now. Looks like 3 of them were just killed, so that certainly is going to help things. Corruptors are on the way. No Broodlords have been started quite yet.
That's right, and with the Ultralisk Cavern on the way, it'll be interesting to see which direction DICE really wants to go with that. He's already got, I believe, full upgrades on his ground units, but SniXSnipe is moving forward with a handful of Marines at a time, and this huge flank is coming in. Even with the Marines spread out, it's not going to be enough. The Lings are just too great in number, and the Siege Tanks are all going to get blown up there. Banelings actually being conserved this time, and a handful of Mutas still in the air, going to be able to pick off this Viking and a couple of Medivacs. Some drones probably did get picked off there. SniXSnipe moving on into that last base of DICE, but DICE just maintaining, stopping basically every attack that SniXSnipe comes in with.
Ooh, that was a little bit, I don't think that's a decision that DICE wanted to make there. He did sacrifice 3 Mutas just to pick off 1 Medivac there, and the Marines are continuing to do damage afterwards. So SniXSnipe, he's still in this, man. I mean, he's still certainly got a chance here. Just finishing up another command center as soon as these mules hit as well. Probably need to turn that into a planetary fortress here in just a second. Chitinous Plating's on the way along with another 4 Broodlords. He'll be at a total of 6 here momentarily. So he's certainly, so SniXSnipe is really going to need an increased Viking count here soon. He's only got 2 on the field right now.
Yeah, the Mutas did pick off those Vikings first in the last engagement, so basically doing a reset on SniXSnipe's forces. We have another drop. Looks like it's going to come into the main. He's going to look for some high-value structures, most likely Infestation Pit, because it's easily killed off. Wow, this is actually a ton of units lost on both sides. Just continual fighting in the middle of the map here, and that unit spread again is really, really good. So he is forcing DICE to make a lot of Lings to be able to run in from all sides. But with these Broodlords in the air now, he hasn't actually gotten any use out of them yet, so this will be their debut so that they can try to push back this entrenched position of SniXSnipe. Infestors, please don't walk within tank range.
And that's the only anti-air right now that DICE has. So he actually loses 2 of his Infestors before the engagement. We actually had that drop up at the top. Looks like it's warded away. At the same time, SniXSnipe is running in, sees the Broodlord sitting there. Now the Vikings are sitting overhead, and they can turn their attention pretty much exclusively on those units.
All right, the Lings run in. They are soaking the first wave of damage, but the Broodlords are still not quite in position to start attacking things yet. It looks like the ground forces actually are going to be enough to at least get SniXSnipe pushed back to his 4th base, and the Broodlords should have enough protection there to actually start, being useful. All these Infestors taking a lot of siege tank damage, though. Oh, losing even more there. But now with Ultralisks hitting the field and Broodlords doing their damage to this planetary fortress, SniXSnipe is going to need
Viking.
Yeah, the Viking is just not paying attention to this Broodlord, but SniXSnipe needs some units and fast.
He does, and looks like he's trying to take another base at the same time, as well as drop around the top, which there's not a lot of defenses there, so that'll do a little bit of damage. Marines now making their way out, pick off 1 of the Broodlords. The Corruptors starting to filter in now, though, so it's going to make it harder for the increased Viking count to do any damage, but it looks like they're not really turning their attention to the Vikings quite yet. Planetary Fortress is getting very, very low, though. It's taken out some SCVs, or the Baneling has taken out a lot of SCVs. There's another big hit at the end.
Yeah, DICE really moving forward with momentum now. The Ultras were definitely what he needed to get in there. And SniXSnipe just GG's after losing that 4th base. And looks like